Want to say a quick thank you to my YouTube and Patreon members and supporters. If you would like to support the future creation of content on this channel, get some few extra perks and some art sent to your door every month, consider becoming a Patreon or YouTube member. Details and links are in the video description. So as we all know, Square Enix has this big live streaming event coming up for Final Fantasy VII's 25th anniversary. So I talked in the previous video about kind of the surprise I think we might get out of this thing. I think we'll get the title of the next game in the remake. If we don't get a title reveal trailer or something, I think we'll get the title of the game. I also think we're in store for a spin-off or two. And so by spin-off, I mean that takes place actually within the narrative of Final Fantasy VII Remake, not like First Soldier. It's Final Fantasy VII First Soldier. Final Fantasy VII is... Remake is its own thing. And I think we're going to get some spin-offs for that. If you didn't see that video, go check that video. I'll put a little card or something up here on top of the video if you want to check that out. But I want to talk about Ever Crisis. I think so. When they first dropped the news about Ever Crisis, I was not excited about it. It was only on mobile, and then when I got to thinking about it, you know, it sucks if you want to stream it, but I don't really care necessarily about that. It will be an interesting way to experience that story again, because I think they're doing Final Fantasy VII. I don't think it's remake, right? I think it's just Final Fantasy VII Ever Crisis, and I think it's going to be their way to narratively tie, you know, Dirge of Cerberus, Crisis Core, all these other games, even Advent Children. Advent Children is going to be part of Ever Crisis, so I think it's a way to streamline all that into one cohesive line, right? So you can play it. They release the different chapters. I think each, if I'm not mistaken, and I could be mistaken, you all can correct me in the comments, but I think each game, each section of Final Fantasy VII is going to be its own game. So Crisis Core, Advent Children, Crisis Core, Final Fantasy VII, Dirge of Cerberus, Advent Children, or whatever. So. But and then periodic releases for chapters and stuff like that. And I'm sure you'll have to like buy them or something like that. The business side of it, whatever. It's mobile. You're gonna pay to play it or whatever. I'm interested in narratively what they do with it, the looks they go with. What might we see? Might we get some alluding to some things they've talked about in previous games. Here's the deal, and I'm going to be very honest with you all. I am curious if they course correct the Genesis character, because I think I've talked to you all before about this several times. It's concept versus execution, right? The concept of the character is great. The execution was not great. I think we all agree on that. Unless you're into the super poetic villains and stuff, and I'm not. I want an ass kicker. I want an ass kicker for a villain that can step up, lace up his boots, and get some ish done. I don't care about you waxing poetic as you're like parrying with your sword. I don't care about that. That's why I like Sephiroth. He's got the power to back up being a pretty boy with a sword and everything. He's got the power to back that up. So I want them to fix Genesis. I want them to fix everything about Crisis Core. We're going to get Before Crisis, right? So we're going to get the stuff, I think we're going to get Before Crisis, if I'm not mistaken. I think Before Crisis is going to be included. I am really interested in the Before Crisis stuff because I would like to see what happens with the Turks and all that. Now, people are calling for like Veld and Cisne and all these other characters to be prominent in Remake. I don't think they're going to be, you know. Those characters, as much as people hate to hear it, as far as like the crisis for the planet, they don't have that big of a role. So, you might see them as a quest giver or something like that, but they're not gonna like have a lot of shine in Remake. Ever Crisis could be a place to do that. So Ever Crisis, there's a big hurdle they have to get over though, because here in the States, mobile gaming is not as big as it is in Japan. And it's obvious that Square Enix is really pushing into the Western markets. They're making their games more Western themed. They're doing all these other kind of business decision things with their games. They got to understand that people hear game on mobile, the majority of them, because they're trying to pass the time. It's not our go-to. Go-to is still either a PC or a console. That's people's go-to for gaming here. And, whether you agree or disagree with that, the numbers are what the numbers are, right? There's a mobile gaming community. I game a little bit on mobile, but it's stuff like Tetris or whatever. I'm not like trying to play Final Fantasy VII on my phone, So I hope that there's at least a desktop release for this at some point, but time will tell. We'll see. I really hope that they make it more accessible for people. Accessibility is going to be a hurdle for Ever Crisis. It will be. Now, fortunately for Square Enix, the fan base for Final Fantasy is such that they might be able to get away with it on this. But if they wanted to make a mobile game for a newer IP or a lesser known IP or something like that, they would have a hard time getting that to get traction over here. They would. So I'm encouraged kind of by some of the moves they've made in the past business wise, but I'm also skeptical because of some other things they're doing, and you won't know what I'm talking about with the NFT stuff or whatever. So I think Ever Crisis is their chance to fix and trim some of the fat with the Final Fantasy VII original stories run and everything they tried to add to it. And I think this is them hammering it out, because you could tell they had a big plan after Final Fantasy VII hit so big. They had these ideas. They wanted to go and do the compilation. I think this is the fixing of the compilation, really. So I'm excited. There were moments in the compilation that I thought were amazing. There were parts of Dirge of Cerberus even that I thought were amazing, but the game as a whole was a little disappointing because it was an action shooter, and the gameplay wasn't the best. It wasn't horrible. It wasn't as bad as everybody makes it out to be, but it's not one of their finest games, we'll put it that way. Mobile only for Before Crisis in Japan. People say go online and read the script for the story. People ain't got that kind of time. I don't. I want to play it. I want to enjoy it. So this will be a chance for me to experience that. Advent Children, playing through Advent Children will be cool because I think they're going to make some changes. I think they will definitely make some changes. To get a full game or a game length story out of that movie, you're going to have to add some stuff. I think you'll get some stuff with some of the other characters in there. I think you'll get some things to flesh things out to make more sense, basically. I would love to play as Sung and Elena going into the Northern Crater and coming across Kadaj, Yazoo, and Laws for the first time. That would be a cool chapter to play, right? So all in all, I think this is a great way for them to course correct the compilation, to straighten up the compilation. So I'm here for it. I'm excited. I hope they surprise us with some cool Ever Crisis stuff on January 31st. So if y'all dug that, don't like on the video, subscribe to the channel, and know when I got cool stuff coming all the time. Make sure the bell's clicked. Consider becoming a YouTube or Patreon member. So I got some fresh stuff coming for you all on that as well. Until then, y'all have a great night. Be safe, be good to each other, and keep rocking. I'll see you all next time.